hot spot.
Oh, for a long time, like about 100 days.
The Red Sox.
Go to hell. You suck. You just failed the class. Don't even show up. You suck. Anyway. But
You're
they're
gonna get
again,
buttons.
he's just.
I know, he knows your buttons. Keep pushing them.
Yeah. I'll make up a special test for you, Don. I got you.
How is Kansas City doing?
Pretty badly. Well, not poorly, but they're like middle of the pack. They're basically eliminated.
Didn't they win the, what is it, last year?
Yep, they were winners last year.
Oh,
They won the whole thing, and they didn't even have that good of a record. I mean, they had a winning record, but I think they had 86 wins, which just barely is above 500. And they won the whole thing because they got hot at the right time. That happens. The Orioles just can't score runs. I mean, it's terrible, especially based on a team that's predicated on scoring runs. So, I don't know. They're going to limp their way in. And if they take the wild card, they're going to get eliminated, I think, the first game. I hope not, but they just don't look good against teams that are over 500.
Maybe they're all, maybe the fear of getting shot on your way to work is really.
That does kind of play into a factor, except they're on the road right now. So,
Well, nevertheless, if it does, I mean it seriously, but because if you get there and you're going to work and you're nervous on your way, it can affect practice and everything.
sure.
You know, and they've had a lot of violence right outside of
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
You see the game with Yankee Stadium and ESPN highlights session?
Yeah, I was actually.
Oh, yeah.
I was at the game when the riots went down, so the police were outside there, and it was a storm. I was in the epicenter of that whole thing.
Wow.
I saw it all. I saw like cars backing up, like people jumping on top of cars, people knocking over the hot dog stands, people stealing condiments and squirting them all over other people. It was ugly. It was probably the ugliest sight of humanity that I've ever seen in my life. It was just horrific.
We didn't go into Baltimore for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame
We
you.
still don't go in there.
Yeah. I mean,
Used to go down for like the circus, things like that.
yeah.
Don't go in there for anything.
Yeah.
During that time, the riots time, I had a relative that was in the hospital at that time at Johns Hopkins. So we were going there, and there were so many armored soldiers just kind of hanging out in that area. So
Wow.
many,
Bad.
so many.
It really was.
Oh, yeah.
Like people, I don't think people really understand the gravity and the levity of what happened. I mean, it was historical. It really was. I mean,
It's the reason their mayor is not going up for election.
yeah. Well, I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they locked us in the stadium too. After I think it went into extra innings. I remember they actually locked us in. They were like, "You're not allowed to leave."
But I thought you said it was going on inside the stadium as well.
Oh no! I was
Oh, that
outside
was
the
outside.
stadium when it all happened. So
Okay.
yeah, I was having a few beers somewhere else, and it all went there.
And then you got back in the stadium and
Yep.
they kept you in there.
And they would not let people out after, I think it was the 10th inning or something like that. And they literally locked us in there for about 2 days. And people were having a fit. Yeah, it was, I mean, I can't remember the last time that in any city that people have been locked in somewhere and weren't allowed out. Because they were that fearful of the safety
Right.
and the well-being of people.
It was probably the smart move.
I agree, yeah, and people will help
They're
people
gonna
out.
complain anytime
Oh, yeah, they're
they're
gonna-
told no.
Yeah, they're gonna complain like if peanuts are like, $3.25 instead of $3, so, yeah. I completely agree with you. Once you take away someone's ability to make a choice, then people get restless, really. But yeah, it's fun stuff.
Even though I wouldn't have known that probably the best choice, I would have complained. That's.
Yeah, well,
You know, it's anything, anybody does, especially for the $3.25 peanuts.
yeah. And the bad thing is they stopped serving beer at the top of the 7th, so we couldn't even get a few more beers.
Right.
It's frustrating. And my flask was out that I brought in, so.
Yeah, I haven't been to the stadium since you weren't able to bring a cooler.
Yeah, that's frustrating. You can bring in,
You bring in a clear plastic bag.
right, and you can bring in.
It's like, really? You're gonna put ice in that?
Yeah, exactly. You can bring in bottles that are plastic and they're not broken. So, and then they sell them outside the stadium for like $2 a pop, which I guess is better than paying like 5 something inside. It's still, I mean, I just want to bring in some water or something like that. Why do I have to spend $1 or $2?
You go in with a cooler with the soda on top and buried in the bottom was your beer that you're not supposed to bring.
Yeah,
in.
right, yeah. I just bring a flask in. Yeah. I have a plastic flask. It's all good. Tuck it in.
Water bottles full of vodka.
Yeah, that'll work. So what's scary is that we're a third of the way through the semester after today. Because it's been 5 weeks. That's messed up. I didn't hear a word you said, it's probably better. You know how easy it is to put an F in for your grade? It's just as easy as to put an A, B, or C in there for you, you know? It's just as easy. In fact, it might be more enjoyable for me.
How many Fs have you given out since you started teaching?
Oh, God. I hate to say it, but probably like 1,000. Because I've been teaching for like 13 years, so, you know. You gotta figure, like, I mean, every class, I've always got, like, you know, a person or two that just never even shows up, that's on the roster, and they never withdraw. So, and you gotta figure, I taught 5 courses a semester, I usually teach 2 in the summer, so that's 12 courses a year. Generally, on average, I'll have 20 people in a class, sometimes more, sometimes less. So 20 12 is 240 times whatever it is, times 12 years, 13 years of teaching, so we're getting to 36,000 students or something like that, or 36,000 unique grades that I've given out. So, out of those, I mean, you gotta have some failures in there. Thousands. Not that I like to, but, have to. Well, that's kind of depressing now that I think of it. And I think of all the time that I spent grading papers.
After the first exam, I think this class would be fun.
Where's everybody? Oh, waiting now. Good enough reading. It's Wednesday at 3:15. Good enough reading. Is anybody taking linear algebra? Just curious. Okay. Oh,
I'm kind of planning on doing it next semester.
okay. Some of the stuff that you guys use in this class is used in linear algebra proofs and stuff.
Do you teach linear algebra?
There's one person that has a stranglehold on it, so unless that person dies or quits, very soon. So one of the two is going to have to happen. So I'd like to have $1 million too. It ain't going to happen. Oh well. Okay guys, so I think what we need to do today is we need to finish up our proofs, and I think we stopped with just barely getting into rationals. I think last time we went proved, or not even proved, but showed a couple things are rational. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do proofs involving rational numbers, and then we're also going to do proofs involving divisibility. Okay? And then I know a couple of you guys had some questions about the assignment number 4, so make sure you guys ask me before you leave to show a hint for, I think there's one of the problems with like -1 to the n, if n is odd, to show that that's equal to -1. So make sure you guys remind me and I'll show you a hint to that one. If there's anything else you guys might need a hint to, I'll be happy to show you. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a couple direct proofs involving these rational numbers, okay? They're not too difficult. Most of them follow the same pattern, okay? So these two that we have for all x, y, and z in rational, I want to prove that 2x squared minus y plus 2z is also rational. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to think of like the steps that we need for a direct proof. Okay, so I think the first thing for any direct proof that we talked about, guys, was didn't we need to define the variables and use the definitions of rationality, divisibility, even, odd at that point. Okay, so, let's start by saying, let's let x, y, and z be elements of the rational numbers, okay? And we can say, or we don't have to say, but such that x, y, and z are arbitrary or particular, okay? So x, y, z, arbitrary but particular. And then we'd have to use the definition of rational to be able to work with this. Okay? So by definition of rational, okay, we have to be able to say something about x, something about y, and something about z. So, what could we say about x if x is a rational number? In other words, how do we define a rational number?
X is equal to A over B, where
Sure.
B cannot be 0.
Perfect. So we can say x is equal to the quotient of a and b, where b is non-zero. Okay, good. And then what can we say about y then?
C and D.
C over d, right? We don't want to use the same variables because that would imply that x and y would be equal. So it would be c divided by d, where d is non-zero, right? And then for z, we could just say e over f, where f is non-zero. Okay? And we have to do one more thing to be able to truly make sure that we've used the definition of rational here. And we don't have to say that there's no common factors between that. So what's the other thing we should probably define at this point?
What? X, Y, Z cannot be 0?
Not necessarily. They could be 0, because we could have 0 over 5,
Oh,
or
yeah.
0 over 22. So that's okay.
The A, B, C, and D, and E, and F all have to be rational.
Not rational, but
Integers.
right. A, B, C, D, E, F have to be integers, right, guys? Because remember, the definition of rational is integer divided by integer. Nice, guys. All right. So, A, B, C, D, E, and F are all elements of the integers. Okay. All right. So, anytime we start a proof, we have to define the variables, okay? Just like a computer program, okay? It's almost like why this course is made for computer science majors, okay? Second thing we have to do is all the algebra junk, okay? So this is where we have to go back and do all that stuff. What's usually the first step that we do with the direct proof?
Substitution.
Substitution, when we start doing the algebra stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to say by substitution, what are we substituting into, guys?
In X, Y, Z.
Into x, y, z, in particular, like what statement? if
A,
you will?
B, C, D, E, F.
Into 2x squared minus 1.
Oh, yeah.
Right, into 2x squared minus y plus 2z. Okay, good. So that means by substitution, our 2x squared minus y plus 2z is going to become 2 times the quantity of a over b squared minus c over d plus twice e over f. Okay, so that's our substitution step. Okay. I don't think anyone has any problem with that, right, guys? That's basic. Okay. All right. Now, what are we trying to show with all this garbage?
Yeah,
Or,
rational.
sorry, all of these statements. What do we ultimately have to show that this is equal to?
Rational. They have
A
like
rational number, right, guys? So in other words, like maybe like m over n or something like that. Okay. So how do you guys think we might be able to proceed with this? Like, what might be the most obvious thing to do?
first expand it and do the algebra.
Yeah, let's go ahead and maybe expand this animal right here. So at least we just have like some fraction to work with. So just by multiplication, okay. So multiplication, this is going to become 2a squared over b squared, right, guys? So all I'm doing is I'm just moving the 2 in the numerator, squaring the a, squaring the b, okay? Minus c over d plus 2e divided by f. Okay. All right. Now, like we said, we want this to become like m over n or something like that, right, guys?
Yep.
So, any ideas to perhaps what we might need to do at this point to get it into one fraction, Donnie?
Multiply the
on the right track, not opposites, but I think you're thinking the right thing, you might not just be saying it
The
correctly.
denominator common.
Common denominator, right? Yeah, I think you're on the right track, right? Yeah, eventually you just need to basically multiply what's missing there, okay? You had it in your head, and you were explaining the steps correctly. Yeah, we need a common denominator. So, guys, what is the least common denominator for all three of those
B
terms?
squared df.
Yeah, just mash them all together, right, guys? So the LCD for this would be b squared df, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rewrite everything using the least common denominator, okay? So, our LCD, I'm just gonna rewrite each of the denominators with b squared df. And Donnie, I think this is what you were talking about, where you have to cross multiply if you would, okay? So,
Can't we just skip that step and just write it as the,
Bis-
just all over
Oh,
one?
sure,
just one,
yeah.
just combine it.
I just
same
wanna make
step.
sure that everyone understands like how to get to this point, okay? So, if you just wanna skip this and just wanna make it like one big mega fraction, you can, I have no problem with that. Okay? Now, what I'm interested in though, guys, is making sure you know how to write the equivalent fractions, okay? Could somebody tell me what the numerator of the first fraction is gonna look like once we have a common denominator?
2a squared df.
Okay, so 2a squared times d times f. Okay. Where did the df come from? Well, guys, take a look at this. The LCD was b squared df. Didn't we already have b squared? So all we really need to go from b squared to b squared df is this df. So basically what you're saying is, whenever you need to multiply to go from the previous denominator to the least common denominator, that's what you multiply the top.